Hello friends, welcome to another video. Today I am bringing you my TBRPGathon readathon, and I am so excited for this readathon. I cannot wait to get started. So I did watch the first video that dropped, and that was so well done. Ugh, if you guys are seeing this, it's already past the time that it started, but I hope that she does it again next year. It is a readathon that is hosted by Wandering Through Worlds, and her name is Rowan, and she is putting together a readathon that is essentially a choose your own adventure Dungeons and Dragons type style role-playing game readathon. And she is the dungeon master and is leading you through the world that she has created, and at the end of each little snippet of her story, you have a choice to make, and depending on that choice, you are given a prompt to fulfill, and it is a week-long readathon, and I'm so excited to participate. The first video dropped, and essentially you are a 13-year-old and you are wandering through the woods on your way home. It's your birthday and you're with your best friend, and you see something interesting and shiny in the forest, and your best friend, being like shiny, goes and explores it and then disappears, and then you go and follow her and you end up in an alternate dimension. And while you are there, you are thrust into some sort of performance that you don't know what it is, and the first choice is it going to be a solo performance or a duet performance? So I chose the duet because I am very nervous generally and I would never go by myself. So the prompt for a duet was to read a book that has multiple perspectives, and that works perfectly for the book that I'm trying to get through right now, which is The Golem and the Genie. This is a book that I started a little bit like 3 or 4 days ago, and I have blown through it. I am just over halfway through already, but there are so many different perspectives. There's the Golem and the Genie, of course, but then there are multiple perspectives. So many that I don't even think I could count them. And it's really well done. Usually with multiple perspective books like this, it can get really overwhelming and confusing, but the characters are all very different and their stories are all very different, even though they all integrate together in a very beautiful way. It's like a tapestry of a book. I picked this up because it is on my TBR. It was the book that I picked for the High Priestess, which is to read a book that has mythology in it. And this is based off of Bedouin mythology and Hebrew mythology. It is essentially about a golem who in Hebrew mythology is a human made out of clay and who is very dangerous. If asked to kill somebody, you can't control it. You can't control it and you have to destroy it. And this golem in particular was created by a man who wanted a wife, but then he died after he created her. Within the hour of creating her, he died, and so she is this golem left alone without a master, and she finds herself in New York City and is taken in by a rabbi who knows what she is. And then on the other side of the story, in a different part of the city, there is a Syrian part of the Syria. So in New York City there is a Jewish district and there is a Syrian district, and so we're kind of bouncing back and forth between those two cultures. And in this other culture there is a Bedouin genie who is essentially released from his jar and finds himself captive in New York City in the form of a human, and is struggling to come to terms with the fact that he might have to live the rest of his life as a human. Eventually these two, the golem and the genie, their paths cross, and it's really good. It has very small print and it has very large pages, and so I thought it was going to take me a really long time to get through, but I'm flying through this book because it's so interesting. The pacing is great, the imagery is amazing, and the storytelling is breathtaking. So I'm highly anticipating this to be a 5 out of 5 stars. So this is my start for the readathon, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Hello! The second TBR video dropped in Wandering Through Worlds TBRPGathon. All of the links to her videos are going to be down below. I'm not going to recreate the story that she's creating because she does it so much better than I can. But essentially her second choice in the TBR role-playing game is whether or not you're fighting this creature with a split up and distract or to corner it into one place. And I chose the split up and distract, and the prompt for that is quiet. So essentially it's a character in the book that has to be quiet, whether it's a thief or an assassin or something along those lines. I am going to continue with the Golem and the Genie and use this for my second prompt as well. In this story, the Golem and the Genie have to be very, very careful about what they say to people and how they act around people, because if the humans around them realize that they're not human, it would be very bad. They live in a time where people are very superstitious and are very fearful of things that are unnatural or supernatural. And so there's already been close calls in the story so far where they've made mistakes and have nearly been attacked by an angry mob. So they have to be very quiet about who they actually are. So that fits perfectly with the second prompt. So I'm just going to continue my merry way with this story. Again, loving it. Definitely going to be a 5-star read for me as long as the ending holds up. So yeah, I will update you guys later. Hey friends, back again with another update. I am still working my way through the Golem and the Genie, and the more I read it, the more I love it. I really recommend this book if anybody hasn't read it yet. If you enjoy fantasy, if you enjoy mythology, it's so good. The characters are really, really well developed, and it's just lovely. The third video has dropped, and once again, I can use the same book. I would be really excited if I could use this book for the entire readathon and just finish this book because I love it. The third prompt dropped from Roe, and the adventure was to go through a maze, and your choice was to either take all left turns or all right turns, and I chose to do all left turns because I'm left-handed. And in the end, the prompt was to read a story that was set in the left hemisphere of the earth, basically. So anything in North America and South America. And once again, this book qualifies because even though it is Syrian and Hebrew tradition, the actual book takes place in New York City. So I will be using this book again for the next prompt, and we'll see if I can continue doing that because that would be great. But yeah, other than that, I don't have a lot to update you guys on. I just am plugging my way through this book and really, really loving it. So I will update you guys when the next prompt drops.
Oh my child, I know you're hurt and you can't let go. It's not your fault and you don't deserve all the bad and the hurt.
I've been working my way through the Golem and the Genie, and I am now I'm on page 327, and I'm still loving it. I watched the next video of Rose, and the choice that I had to make was actually based off of the D20. I had to roll a D20 in order to decide what my next prompt was going to be, and I ended up with the highest choice. So I rolled a 17 on the D20, and the prompt for that was to read a book that was over 375 pages, and the Golem and the Genie is definitely over 375 pages. It is 484 pages. So once again, I am choosing Golem and the Genie to continue out my week. So I have about 150 pages left, I think, to finish this one off. So if I finish this one, I will start another book for the rest of the week. But we shall see what the prompts hold for me. So far, I am having so much fun with this readathon. It's really fun to listen to Rose's storytelling and her ability to just give you this immersive story to base your reading on is so much fun. I love the idea. So kudos to her. She's doing amazing. As always, the links are down below. So I really highly recommend that you check it out. You can even do the readathon on your own, even though it's going to be technically over. The videos will all still be there. I think it's super, super fun. I would definitely check it out. Hey friends, it is now the next day, and last night I finished the Golem and the Genie, and I thought it was so good. I'm definitely giving it a 5 out of 5 stars. The ending came together in such a satisfying way. All of the loose ends were tied up, and it was really good. It was immersive. It's the perfect story to read during the summertime if you're looking for something set in the desert, if you're looking for something that is kind of Middle Eastern folklore. It's just really, really good. So the next video in Rose Readathon has dropped, and the prompt for me, based on my choices, is to read a book that features a strong character, which fits in perfectly because this month's TBR, the tarot card that I drew was also a strength. And I had originally said that I was going to read To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, but I had to return that to the library before I could read it. So I'm going to swap it out for this middle grade book. It's called Inside Out and Back Again. This is by Tana Lai, and it is a Vietnamese middle grade novel about a young girl who grows up during the Vietnam War. So this is definitely going to be probably hard-hitting, and I'm expecting it to be really, really good and really, really sad. And definitely this main character is going to require a lot of strength to get through something as horrific as that war. I am looking forward to reading this, but also not looking forward to reading this. But it is a middle grade, so it should be pretty quick. And then I will have finished the prompt for both my TBR and this readathon. So 2 in 1. Great. Today's been pretty good. I just got back from work. I had a really long day. The kids are pretty disrespectful and noisy and loud and just not really into being at school today, so definitely drained. Also, I stayed up way too late last night finishing that book. So I think I'm gonna curl up in bed for a little while, get started on my new story, and see how far I get.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand.
It has been just about a half an hour, and I wanted to check in because I'm flying through this book. I did not realize when I got it, try and change the lighting there, that it was in poetry. So that's really nice. I'm actually teaching poetry to my kiddos in class, so I feel like my life is kind of in a theme right now, which is cool. I might actually use this in my class this week if I can finish this in the next couple days. I'll bring it in and read parts of it to them, and we'll study it because it's really, really beautiful. There's a lot of figurative language and imagery and all of those things that are excellent for young kids who are learning how to read poetry and understand poetry. And for anyone who is reading something so difficult to imagine as the Vietnam War, I think that the small moments and the imagery of the one piece of life that I'm getting from this story so far makes it really digestible, really moving, because there's a lot of emotion and, like I said, a lot of imagery in the way that this book is written. So far so good. I am thinking it'll probably be a 4-star read for me, but yeah, so far so good. I finished it. It only took me about an hour, and it was really good. I ended up giving it a 3 stars. I thought it was really good and beautifully written, but with the poetry and it being so short, it didn't quite connect with me the way that something like this I would expect it to. So I bumped my reading down just a little bit, but I still think it's a really important read, and I think it is especially useful for kids, like 3rd through 5th graders, or maybe even older, middle school age, to have access to literature like this that explains different cultures, to get examples of poetry in a very beautiful, understandable form. So I'm definitely going to be adding this to my classroom library. So overall, very enjoyable. I did not sleep at all last night. I'm so tired and really cranky. And I feel bad because I snapped at a couple of my 4th graders today. I'm usually very patient, and I was not patient today. So today's been a long day, and I'm ready to go home. But the children. But the next video for the readathon dropped, and it is to pick a book that features something that is fallen. I had to close the door. The kids are so loud. I've been on the struggle bus at work the last couple of weeks, just trying to make my way through every week, and I'm just feeling so tired. But that's not what you guys are here to listen to. Sorry for the motion sickness. Also, my face is breaking out a lot because of stress, I think. Okay. So, the next video dropped in the TBRPGathon, and the prompt for the book is to pick a book that features something that is fallen. So something falling from grace, something similar to that. And so on my TBR for this month is Elantris, and this actually works perfectly for that prompt, because in this book there is a race of godlike beings that have fallen from their state of godliness, and now they are enslaved, I believe. And the world is just a shadow of what it used to be because of this. And I don't really know much about it. It's the first book in his Cosmere, I believe. I've read the Stormlight Archive and absolutely loved it, but I didn't have a lot of context for the rest of his world, and so I'm starting over and reading his books in order from when I should read them in order to make sense of his world. So Elantris is the first of those books, and I'm really excited to read it. And it will work perfectly for this readathon. So I'm going to start that tonight, and then hopefully it will work for the rest of the prompts as well, so I won't have to come up with something else to read. Or maybe I'll just skip a prompt. I don't know. I've done pretty well so far in this readathon. I've pretty much hit every single prompt, even though I've only read 2 books so far for it. Yeah. So far so good. I'm loving the story. I know I'm not really telling you much about it, mostly because her storytelling is so much better, and it would be a cheap replica if I tried to do it. So if you guys are at all interested in hearing the videos and seeing what it is that she's doing, and getting a series of books for yourself based off of this story, I highly recommend it. You'll find all of the links below. Hey friends, I am home from work. It's really cold. We have been socked in with fog and all of the trees are frozen and all of the grass is frozen and it's snowing white stuff from the sky. It's really cold. So I'm bundled up in my sweater and I am getting ready to continue reading Elantris. I started this today at work. I'm only on chapter 2, but it's really, really good so far. Like I had mentioned before, there is a race of godlike creatures who have fallen from grace, and now the city that they used to live in is the place where people get sent to die, basically. I don't fully understand what's happening yet. In the beginning, the Elantrians were blessed, and if you were chosen to become an Elantrian, you were revered by everybody. And then something changed, and I don't know what. And now, if you begin to change, you are essentially turning into some kind of zombie where you don't die exactly. You're like the living dead. And so when you start the change, your family essentially does your burial rites and then locks you into the ancient city of Elantris with thousands of others who are undergoing a similar change, but your heart isn't beating, your body doesn't recover, and if you injure yourself, you are in an eternity of pain because you can feel all of the pain, but your body doesn't restore itself. So it's wild. It's really interesting. I've never read anything like it before, and I'm really looking forward to continuing it. I'll be reading this tonight. I watched the last prompt for TBRPGathon, and the prompt for me was to read a book that has found family. And I don't know if I have one that I know of for sure. This might have found family, but I don't know where it's going. I have no idea whether or not characters will create bonds like that. And I don't think I have anything small that would be found family. So I think I'm going to go ahead and skip the final prompt of TBRPGathon, finish Elantris, and wrap up my vlog there. So I'm going to spend the evening reading. I'll update you in a little bit on how it's going, but I think I'm going to call TBRPGathon with this. It's been so much fun. I will update you in a little bit. I stayed up most of the night and I finished Elantris. I have not had such a visceral reaction to a book in a really long time. Last year I read a lot of 5-star reads and I really, really enjoyed them. And a lot of them made me cry. A lot of them were very emotional. This one was really stressful. It had me on the edge of my seat at the ending. The ending. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to give anything away. But I've heard rumors about Brandon Sanderson's endings in his fantasy novels, and boy, does he follow through with his endings. I was so stressed out and so frustrated and I was yelling, I was sighing, I was completely captivated by the ending of this book. When I first started it, I felt like it was going to be a 5-star read. It starts out really, really strong. In the middle, it lagged a bit for me with the pacing, and so I had brought it down to a 4 stars just because I was tempted to skip some of the parts in the middle because it was just moving so slowly and I wanted to get to the good bits. But the ending made up for all of that, and it has received a solid 5 stars for me. So, ending the TBRPGathon with a bang. This was amazing. I did not read a book to fill the prompt for Found Family, but I did realize afterwards that this book could technically count for found family. So the premise of this book is that there was a city called Elantris, and they were a city that was powered by magic. And some unexplained event happened, and the magic deserted the city. And instead of a people who were godlike and powerful and beautiful, they turned into a people who were half-formed, basically, technically dead, basically the living dead. It's a twist on a zombie story where the zombies are in possession of all of their human faculties until the stress of their situation and the pain and the hunger that they endure becomes too much, and then they lose their minds. And essentially the story is the search to figure out what happened to Elantris and to reverse the curse that has been placed on this city. That is a very narrow explanation for what this book is. It was the perfect book for my TBR prompt, The Emperor, because it had to have politics and all of those things. And it absolutely did. Politics and war and religion and beautifully fleshed out characters and the detail of the world building. This book is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So, ending the month on a really, really positive note. This vlog took me longer than I expected. It's been several days, and TBRPGathon has officially ended a while ago, but I wanted to finish this book and wrap up this vlog so that I can let you know my thoughts on this book. And what more can I say? Pick up Brandon Sanderson's book. This is his first book in his massive series that he's written, and it's still ongoing, and it was amazing. Highly recommend. But oh, I threw my book. My poor book. That is the end of this vlog. I had a blast with this readathon. I thought it was an amazing idea. I loved the storytelling. I'm still thinking about the story. It left off on a cliffhanger. There has to be more. There has to be more. There's no way that Ro can just leave us where she left us and not continue the story next time. So I'm looking forward to the next installment of this readathon, and I will be vlogging it, of course. And I highly recommend that you guys go back through and do it. I really kind of am tempted to go back through and watch all of the different possible choices that you could have made and see where the story goes if you choose different choices. But I don't have a lot of time to just sit and do that. But I highly recommend going back through and watching the videos and doing the readathon yourself. Even though the official readathon is over, it's still totally possible to do it now. And I'll link all of the links to her video down below. So overall, it was an amazing week, and I hope you enjoyed this vlog. Give me a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain.